that I'm based in Los Angeles, it only makes sense that I would start today's show with the most pertinent news in Los Angeles. The Rams are advancing to Super Bowl 56. They finally beat the 49ers for the first time in 6 tries. 20-17 yesterday at SoFi. It was an electric atmosphere in the NFC Championship game. In fact, I would argue that 65 to maybe 70% of the fans were 49ers fans at the Rams home stadium. But nonetheless, the Rams are returning to the Super Bowl for the first time in 3 years since 2019. That was Super Bowl 53, which the Patriots ultimately won with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick 13-3. But needless to say, they are back. It's the second straight year that the home team is hosting the Super Bowl. Obviously, last year, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, they played at Raymond James Stadium. Bucs ended up winning that Super Bowl over the Chiefs, and now the Rams have an opportunity to repeat history, repeat the same steps that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did just last season. And it's an extremely special day here in Los Angeles for this Rams team that, again, they haven't won a Super Bowl since Super Bowl 34, which they beat the Tennessee Titans. It's just the 5th time in franchise history that they've actually reached the Super Bowl, and really just the 3rd time that they've reached it, again, as a member of the Los Angeles Rams. Typically, they've reached the Super Bowl as a St. Louis Rams team. So that's kind of the difference here. And what's special is that this was the ultimate, not only comeback, because the Rams trailed by 10 in the 4th quarter, 17-7, but it was the ultimate triumph over a bully. And to put it candidly, that's who the 49ers had been to the Rams for the last several years, not only this season. They'd been a bully every single time they'd played them the last 6 tries. This was the first time in 6 tries that the Rams had finally been able to knock off the 49ers. The 49ers had won 6 straight games. They had been the Rams' kryptonite all season for the last several years. Sean McVay, just for whatever reason, couldn't get over the hump when it came to Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. They had always been their thorn in their side until yesterday. And what was amazing is the context and the narrative surrounding not only this game, but also the results of this game. Because to me, it was only fitting that to reach the Super Bowl, the Rams had to go through their most bitter rival, their fiercest competitor within their own division, their NFC West foe. Again, these are bitter rivals that have faced each other not only 2 times this year, but the last several years. They've always been challengers, the 2 of them jockeying for position. And to me, it was only fitting that the Rams lost to the 49ers in Week 18, which allowed San Francisco to advance to the postseason to clinch a playoff berth. And therefore, it was only fitting that to reach the Super Bowl, to get to where the Rams wanted to get to so desperately, they had to go through this 49ers team. And to me, it actually makes it much more fulfilling, because the Rams needed to prove, I think, not only to the rest of the NFL, but more importantly to themselves, that they could actually overcome this team, because this team had their number time and time again. And yet, to reach the Super Bowl one more time, the Rams had to persevere. They had to show that resilience. They had to show that mental fortitude, that toughness to match the physicality and to punch the bully in the mouth, to punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. Because the first 3 quarters, the physicality of the game was once again favoring the 49ers. That's where they've made their bread and butter, is in mucking up the game, in the trenches. That's where the 49ers have dominated this series. And for the first 3 quarters, it was heading in that direction. The Rams defensively were unable to make tackles. Troy Reeder, 2 critical 3rd downs, could not complete tackles one against Deebo for a first down, another one for Jennings, who was about two yards, maybe 2.5 to 3 yards short of the sticks and just backpedaled after being wrapped up by Reader, managed to backpedal for the first down. Those seemed like backbreakers for a Rams defense that was just kind of struggling again to match the physicality, to stop the run game. The 49ers were doing a great job neutralizing the Rams' pass rush all through the first 3 quarters. You had even offensively, the Rams weren't sputtering offensively, but they were just making some mental errors, some mental mistakes. Obviously, Matthew Stafford threw that pick early, but then Cooper Kupp had kind of a surprising drop that would have been a touchdown pass. Just went right through his hands on a slant. Ben Skoranek dropped a touchdown pass right in his fingertips. So we were starting to see these errors multiply as the game was going on, not only on the offensive side, but also the defensive side of the ball. And then you had Deebo Samuel, who was carving them up like he always does, leading rusher, even though they didn't rush for that many yards, only 50 yards, but Deebo still got the ball 7 carries, 26 yards. They kind of bottled him up, at least on the ground game, but he had 4 receptions for 72 yards, took a little screen pass from 40 yards out to the end zone, which is something that he's prone to do pretty much every single game that he plays this year. He's been unbelievable, the ultimate workhorse, the ultimate competitor. But from that late third quarter on, the Rams managed to find a new level, dig deeper, unlock some aggression, some passion that they hadn't been able to conjure up in previous games against the 49ers. And they outscored them 13-0 in the fourth quarter, something that we had rarely seen. In fact, Sean McVay had been 0-14 prior to yesterday's game when trailing by 10 points or more in the fourth quarter. This was the first time he was able to overcome that type of deficit. And the difference is the Rams, not only the quarterback play, but defensively were the 2 biggest keys of the game, because Matthew Stafford, with the exception of the one early pick and that one terrible throw towards the end of the game that should have been caught by Tart, the exception of that, he was making tremendous throws. Again, 2 touchdown passes that were dropped. And this was a big spot for Matthew Stafford because, again, this almost felt like a road game for the Rams playing at home. The Niners had infiltrated that stadium. They were a lot more prominent. They were a lot louder for the majority of the game. So this wasn't like playing in the comfort of your own home. And Matthew Stafford, again, managed to block all that out, block some of the drop touchdown passes by Kupp and by Skoranek, stay locked in. And the connection, again, that he was able to fortify with Cooper Kupp this year, just tremendous. He put one in a shoebox to Cooper Kupp for a touchdown. The first touchdown pass of the game through 2 defenders in the back of the end zone in the corner. Found Cooper Kupp again open in the corner. I mean, Kupp had 11 catches, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's just so deft and has such a knack for getting open. It still amazes me how he's able to get open time and time again. I'm almost surprised every single time I see it. But he's just a fantastic route runner. He's got tremendous hands, and the connection, the wavelength that he has with Matthew Stafford, that the 2 of them have been able to build throughout this entire year is second to none. Odell Beckham Jr. was fantastic. I would argue it was perhaps his most impactful game as an LA Ram. 9 catches, 113 yards. And then Kendall Blanton, the backup tight end, kind of all hope looked lost at the tight end position when Higbee went down, and Blanton steps in, 5 catches, 57 yards. Pretty much every single reception was for a first down. The guy played the best game of his career. He was composed under pressure. He made catches through traffic. He ran after the catch. He played extremely well. He played a hell of a game. And so the quarterback play, and again, the defense, were the 2 most critical parts of the game, because the run game for both sides was neutralized. So you highlighted the Rams offense with Matthew Stafford specifically, and that Rams defense paid big dividends down the stretch. They didn't necessarily record any sacks, but they applied a lot of pressure on Jimmy G in that fourth quarter. They forced him to hurry up some throws. They nearly had a pick. Then, obviously, the final offensive snap for the 49ers, Aaron Donald, Von Miller, they got the pressure to him. Jimmy G was scrambling as he was being taken down, just tried to chuck it, side pass it, tips over the fingertips of a 49er, and it's scooped up by the Rams, and they end up winning this game. And again, the challenge playing the 49ers, and we knew this was going to be the challenge for the Rams, was because of that strong run game, the Rams defense had to clog the middle. You got to put guys in the box. But as a consequence, it neutralizes your pass rush on the outside because now Jimmy G's got more time to sit in that pocket and to deliver throws. And he was doing that early on in the game. But they managed to break through. They managed to persevere. And it showed that resilience. And this was just a tremendous, tremendous game, a tremendous story for the Rams, who I think now that they have reached the Super Bowl, it validates the trade for Matthew Stafford. Obviously, the Rams have bigger expectations than that. They hope that they can win the whole thing. And they're one game away from doing that and already open as a favorite against the Bengals. But I think regardless of the outcome, it validates the reasons why you traded for Matthew Stafford, who was arguably the best quarterback in fourth quarters this year in the NFL. 13 touchdowns, no picks in the fourth quarter this year. And so, to me, I can't wait for the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. Again, the fact that the home team gets to host is unbelievable. I would imagine the Rams fans would come out in greater droves this time around than they did for the NFC Championship game. But just a tremendous, tremendous, not only experience, but moment for this Rams group that had gone out on a limb. They had taken a bunch of chances. They had been bold. They had showed that they are willing to take risks. Stan Kroenke invested a lot of money, not only in the stadium, but in this team and in the belief of Sean McVay, in the belief in Les Snead, and the coaching staff and these players. And they've managed, to the credit of Sean McVay, he's managed to kind of have all these players coalesce and have this amalgamation work right now. OBJ, Von Miller, Matthew Stafford, 3 high-profile midseason and off-season acquisitions, and they've all paid huge dividends. And the Rams are going to the Super Bowl, and it's extremely special.